Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the Options Mentor. All right, well, we have had quite a run up in the SPX and the market in general over the last couple of weeks, haven't we? And now we are heading into a very important week. We have a Fed rate announcement on Wednesday afternoon at 2 Eastern, though I don't think they'll change rates. The market will be looking at it to see if maybe they're going to lower rates in June. So I expect a lot of tension around that. And as we start out here, let's take a look at the VIX chart. The VIX chart continues to decline, right? The VIX is way down, dropping fairly precipitously, like it normally does off a high. Look at this one here. Almost identical, but just a little more of a slope here. So we've dropped there. By the way, if we go over here to the SPX chart, we've actually gotten back all the down move since the tariff announcement back on April 2nd. So all that's gone now, all that worry and downside, although there's still worry there, of course, but the VIX is down, the market's back up, and it appears the market is at least hopeful that a lot of this tariff stuff will end up being negotiated out or some way that we can see what they call stability. And you can see that in both the VIX declining and the SPX rising. But when we come into this week, I think you're going to see probably a slight trickle up, I would think, in the VIX. You'll also see the market, I would expect to be choppy, but in a narrow range until that announcement on Wednesday afternoon. So what can we do with that? What trade do we have in our arsenal that will work in a lowering vol environment that's headed into some tension and gives us not only some volatility chances, but also we want to be able to handle some movement. So let's go over here to the SPX and let's take a look here at the expected move. So the expected move by Wednesday is the $100. So the market maker expect to move $100 between now and Wednesday. Generally, it's a pretty decent place to see where the market might be going. Many times it exceeds it, but it is a decent number to look at. So we have 100 by Wednesday, and then by Thursday, 115, 130 by the end of the week. So what if we looked at this trade you have here on your screen? Now, this is a double diagonal for this Friday. And what I did here is I went up and bought the 57.70 call, gives us a lot of room on the upside in case we get more good news. Sold the 75, and I went down to the 56.10. You can be a little closer on the downside usually, because if we go down, definitely volatility should help you. It is long Vega. Bought the 56.10, sold the 5600, 3 days wide, selling the 9th, buying the 12th. So just if you put this type of trade on tomorrow, you need to be aware that you'll probably see nothing in the way of time decay. You can see the decay is $268 a day. I don't think you'll see a dime of positive movement in this until Wednesday afternoon when that announcement comes out. Now, you could see a little. I think you're probably more likely if you put this on Monday, and I would put it on Monday if you want to do it. I mean, you could do it Tuesday, but I think Monday's a better choice because you are building this time decay. You're just not seeing it because the volatility of these Friday options is being kept elevated. And if the IV in your short options, every option has its own volatility. And if the IV in your short options remains elevated while your longs probably stay stagnant, that actually makes volatility work against you. And you can see that would be $148 a point in your P&L. It'd be temporary, of course, unless you closed it. But your P&L that you're seeing you have in a trade will definitely be held up by IV being higher up in the shorts than in your longs, which I anticipate will happen between now and Wednesday. But I think it's still worth it to put on a trade like this, like I said, on Monday, because you will have that time decay still building. And whenever the announcement comes out on Wednesday afternoon, of course, there could be a move, but volatility will most likely decline. Once that news is past us, I think you'll see that the market calms down a little bit. Now we know what they're going to do or not going to do. And that will make the volatility in the market generally decline. Now, if they said something really awful, like we don't see rate cuts happening till September, which I doubt they would come out and say that even if they thought it, because it's not usually the Fed doesn't want to surprise the market. But if you had something like that, sure, you could get increased volatility and a heck of a down move. Or if you got a rate cut, you'd see one heck of an up. I don't think you're going to get either of those this week. What you might get at best, and I'm not positive you're going to get it, is some kind of a leaning. We're looking at maybe we could cut rates in June. That's going to be probably the best case scenario for the market going up. So a trade like this, if we look at it, you could make on expiration. I wouldn't advise staying till expiration, but it's a good measurement of whether this sag is too low or not. You see, if this sag was so far down that you had to wait till expiration to make 10%, well, I wouldn't want to be in it. You're never getting out of it, right? If it was around the middle, and you're not going to be getting out of it till expiration if you wanted 10%, would you? So if we look at this here, if you paid $1,475, which is what $14.75 interprets to in option language because it's 100 per contract, you could make $884, which is well over 50%. So I think this is a decent level for the center of your graph. What if we get a $130 move? Well, $130 move, you're still well within your graph. Be a little over 5,800 here, or $130 down move, same thing, right? You're going to be well within your graph still. So I think this trade is interesting in that it can participate in a move and still be fine. It's going to be decaying rapidly after this announcement comes out. Most likely the market won't move a whole lot between now and Wednesday when that happens. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a down day. Very often before a Fed announcement, you'll see either Monday or Tuesday, there's a pretty decent down day in the market. That doesn't always happen, but I think if you look back, you'll find most of the time it does. In fact, I think you'll find most of the time it happens on Tuesday, but we'll see what happens. So even if it does, I don't see some kind of a huge sell-off where we get this 130-point up or down move before that announcement, unless some other news came out, like Trump came out and said, hey, we're eliminating these tariffs on China or something huge. Other than that, the market will have all of its attention towards the Fed this week, Wednesday afternoon. So this is the kind of trade, if it works for you, if you understand it, if it's right for you, that I think might be interesting in this market. I would, at least if you're new to this especially, trade this on paper. Then you could see how things work. That would be interesting to do because you could at least learn, how does volatility and a big announcement affect things? Does it not show any profit between now and Wednesday, or very little, or maybe even go down a little? What happens after the Fed announcement comes out? Do you see volatility drop? How'd the trade do? All of these things are going to be there for you to learn and see if you trade this on paper. Or you could do it live, like I said, if it's right for you. But I thought this was an interesting trade. I know we've used it a lot, but we haven't been able to use it much with the volatility declining. With the volatility being elevated, but now that it's declined, I think we can look at this trade again. So that's my idea for this week. I appreciate you guys being here. Hey, make sure you check out all the links in the description of this video so you can see how you could join my trade alert service and be with me every day over at airmer.com, where I do sessions Monday through Friday. And a lot of folks are piling into the trade alert service. I believe we're 15 out of 18 on the year, something like, or 16 out of 19, but we're doing very well, up around 30% on the year. And things are going well with that. Check out the links in the description. Email me with any questions, theoptionsmentorspx@gmail.com, if you have questions about any of my services or one-on-one mentoring, or just about what I did here in the video. It's fine. And of course, you can always leave the comments. Please hit the subscribe button, the alert button, and the like button, I hope. All right. I will be back here next week. We'll see what the Fed results were, and we could have a whole different market by then. We'll find out. So have a good week, everyone. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.